learned that over the weekend. You like it? Am I ever going to get a yes out of you? Yes. Woo! Happy Monday and welcome back to Sin City Crypto Live. I am one of your co-hosts, David, and we are coming at you live from our professionally built, very expensive studio here in the heart of Sin City, Las Vegas, Nevada, with our daily, only on the weekdays, live shows. Before we get into the content, quick disclaimer, nothing that anyone says on this channel, especially the chat, should be taken as financial advice. So please, as always, do your own research. Trust me, it's worth it. Spend the time. With that being said, I'd like to introduce you to your other co-host, Big Rob. What's up?
Hola! It's your boy, Big Rob, back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. First time checking us out, we are an entertainment-focused cryptocurrency channel where we take the old, the boring, the stale information, and we package it up in a fun and sexy way. Also, here at Sin City Crypto, we don't just do live streams. We also do YouTube shorts. We do shorter than our live videos as well, and periodically we do deep dives. Which leads me to my next point. How would you find all of these videos if you don't have the notification bell hit? Our notification bell enabled metric is very low.
Notification bell enabled metric.
It's like 10%. Only 10% of our subscribers have the notification bell checked.
That's
I don't know what the title of that damn metric is, but let me tell you. I'm putting it front and center.
Thank you for that, Robin.
Also, if you have stumbled across our channel, hola! Subscribe, like the video, and stay active in the chat. Also, when we get to 60 people, we did not reach 60 people one time this week, or last week, but this is a new week. I have a grand vision of 60 viewers. What do you think? We're going to cross a new all-time high?
This week?
Yes.
Yeah, I feel it.
Because if you don't know, we open up the club. We have a good time. We have a Vegas party. And we used to give stuff away before YouTube told us, stop doing that. Now, quick roll call. Broke Yoshi first in the chat. Welcome, Broke Yoshi. Tox, R.A. Daniel, Marky Mark. We got Shizzy. Why You Loud? Gang. Stereo 2 in the chat and on the ones and twos. Big Chili Willie. We got Handy, Strictly Sports, Tox.
His name is
Bino,
Steph Curry.
Whatever.
Jesus.
Redman and
You forgot Chef Murder.
Chef Murder, Bullish Kenny G, Sir Babe, and as we mentioned, if you're new, say hello so I can drop an hola to you, and maybe a people's elbow. You remember the people's elbow? He would throw the elbow wristband. Like, he's the only man that had a elbow
Wristband?
except or also what was your
An elbow wristband. That's an oxymoron.
No, but it's like a wristband, but it's like bigger and it goes across the elbow.
It's just a band, an elbow band.
Kind of like your boy Brett Favre when he had he did the copper commercials.
Brett Favre
remember
out of this.
the copper
Yes.
commercials?
You leave Brett Favre out of this.
You know
know
they
what-
say the per the infomercials, those copper can basically cure anything.
Anything.
And
copper's
so
down
if
right
you're
now, so
feeling
you-
sick, don't eat pennies. It's terrible advice. But
I love pennies.
Hold on. You love pennies?
I collect.
Oh, we're
how
talking
many
about eating
pennies
them.
do you have?
Oh,
He's like, at least $2 worth.
at least $2. I'm getting to 3 almost.
Today's a
I'm
very
getting
special
there.
day.
Yeah?
You know what today is?
What is that?
Today is 7-Eleven, which means free Slurpee Day.
Mm.
Are we going to get some free Slurpees after the show or what?
Let me ask you a question.
What?
Do you like the Coca-Cola flavored Slurpee?
I love it. You know what
It's so disgusting.
You know what I do when I go to the movies?
The best part about Coca-Cola is the carbonation. You
know-
literally have no carbonation
You know
in
what I-
Coca-Cola.
you know what
it's
I
just
do?
slush.
You know what I do when I go to the movies? You know the slushies, the ices? I get half cherry, half Coca-Cola, baby. Trust me, try it. Almost as good as Doritos with yogurt. We'll see about that. But for today, we have a lot to talk about today. We're going to get into the markets here in a second. We're going to do some, we're going to talk about Bitcoin, Ethereum. We're going to do some chart analysis on those as well, plus Cardano. And then as far as some news for today, we are talking bank runs happening in China. Sri Lankan protesters go into the capital and they take a dip in the presidential pool. We're also talking Coinbase having issues with withdrawals. We're talking Celsius hiring new lawyers. Is bankruptcy imminent? Another ETF launches in Germany. The Terra Luna fiasco and how that's playing out. Also, 3 Eros Capital founders have gone away. We don't know where they are. No one knows where they are. Among with other things.
Oh, I know where they're at.
You know?
Yes.
Also, Playboy is coming to the metaverse. So we'll talk about all that in today's show. So if you're watching after the fact, we will have timestamps in there. Please make sure to follow along. Robin?
Yes, sir.
Take it away.
You know, I was driving here to the studio today, and I was feeling really excited.
You didn't take the bus today?
No, I did not take the bus.
Okay.
Since crypto's down, boy, rely on public transportation. The cost of the studio doesn't go down with the price of Bitcoin.
No, it does not.
I was really excited, man. Feeling good. I'm feeling really positive. Oh, by the way, we will be on BitBoys Around the Blockchain today with another familiar face you might recognize as well. So I don't want to spoil it. But
You're not going to tell them who it is?
No.
Tell them.
No.
Okay. All right.
They need a... You want to know?
Today's Around the Blockchain is going to be really good. You guys don't want to miss it. There's some really good panelists on there.
So, yeah, so that's today. So after the show, 2 p.m. West Coast time, 5 p.m. East Coast time. Make sure you come, support, drop the ones in the chat, and also for maybe somebody else that's there, we'll also support them.
Yes.
So, also, if you'd like to get this Ola shirt, make sure you go check out our crypto. A lot of cool stuff.
Merchandise.
Yes. Now, let's get right into it.
Let's get it.
Enough lollygagging.
Enough. And enough coughing, too.
You ready?
I sent it to you 5 minutes ago. You're over here babbling. So, yeah. I'm ready.
Oh, you leave Babel out of this. They went under. They stopped withdrawals. All right. So, taking a look at Bitcoin. We are $20,550.44. A little pullback than we were over the weekend. So, you know, I keep saying it, and I'm going to keep saying it over and over again. We are following exactly the same trend that we did twice before here at the 40K mark before we fell off down to 30K. We were there for 3 weeks. And then here we have been trading, or, you know, when we got to the 30K mark, we traded there for a total of 4 weeks. And lo and behold, we are at the 20K mark, and we are trading here for 3 weeks. And you know what? I think later this week, it's going to go down. 10K?
Nope.
I mean, and I'm going to say that I'm not the only one that thinks of this. I'm not the only person that thinks 10K. So here it doesn't take a genius to look at this chart and be like, okay, 3 weeks, we're at 40K, we're down to 30. 3 weeks later, we went from 30K, went down to 20. 3 weeks. I mean, you know, if we go back to elementary school,
it's not going to happen.
When you're following the pattern,
not going to happen.
And then you got the test question, and then in the bubbles, it's what is the next number in the corresponding sequence? And you go from what is it? 16, 8, 4, blank. And then multiple choice is 0,
What are you
2,
talking
whatever.
about, man?
And then anyways, you know the next number is coming is going to be 2. Because you go 16, 8,
Yeah,
4,
we
2.
get it. Okay.
Same thing here, bro.
It's not gonna
Look at
happen.
the chart. This is textbook elementary
That is
right
not.
here.
You want to see
40,
textbook?
this is how I do my TA. You be quiet. So we got 40.
Put a 1 in the chat if you want a real TA real quick.
You got 40. We go 3 weeks of 40, 3 weeks of 30, 3 weeks of 20. What is the next 3 weeks? I'm just saying, bro. Sometimes you just got to dumb it down. Go back to elementary school. How you doing? And Marky Mark, $4.99 super chat. Who's a better driver? Big Rob, David, or Rocco?
Okay, so let me get my input real quick.
I'm definitely going to say Rocco is last. I don't know.
What the hell?
Oh,
Why?
wow,
That's messed up.
Okay, and I'm gonna give you my reason why Rocco's
Okay,
last.
why is Rocco
Because
last?
Rocco's wife drops him off. So he's got
what?
less
Doesn't mean
experience.
he's not a- doesn't mean he's a bad driver.
He's got less experience. It might be.
Get the-
Why does your wife drive you here?
He's such a good driver. He doesn't need to drive anymore. You need the practice.
That's what I'm saying, man. You know, his
That's
wife.
not what
his
you're
wife-
saying. You're
his
saying
wife-
he's a bad
There's
driver.
reason behind.
There's a
Because
reason.
each time I drive, I use the handbrake, in every corner.
He uses a handbrake in the corner.
And I drift.
Okay, yeah, he's out of the question.
So I like to drift, so I don't know.
He likes to drift. Well, that could mean he's a good driver. I was going to say Robin because he knows how to drive manual.
I do have a
know
stick
to do
shift.
that too.
You know how?
big
Okay,
fan
so
of
I
stick
can't
shift.
drive manual. I will take myself out of the equation.
No. Now the things is on. We
My
gotta
dad
go
tried to
the
teach me.
racetrack. You gotta
My
go
da-
to the racetrack now.
My dad tried to teach me, and then he said I was too stupid to learn. So, anyways, thank you for the super chat, Marky Mark. Okay, Rocco, pull up my laptop. Robin's talking about Bitcoin. He's talking about we're gonna break to the downside. Well, I charted this pattern on Friday. And we were up here, okay? So these candles were not there. And I said, if this plays out, it would be a really nice cup and handle. Well, guess what? It is literally playing out the way I expected it to. And so with cup and handles, this is a bullish pattern. And we should see a break to the upside. Should. Now, TA is never 100%. And where should we expect price? You measure the length or you measure the depth of the cup. And then if you want the real bullish scenario, you go from the top here, which would put us right around 25,400. But more realistically, I would say we break from the downside here, and then we'll see closer to 23,800. Now, whether when we reach to that point and we start channeling is another question, but that's been pretty good resistance. We wicked up here back in on June 16th, and we kind of wicked a little bit above it on June 14th, right around that lower 23 to mid 23 range. We should get a little past that, but it remains to be seen again with TA and charts and patterns. You're looking at probabilities. Probabilities are it plays out, breaks to the upside. I would expect a small breakout, bounce off this channel, and then move up again. It's typically called a bump and run in the world of technical analysis, but that's why I don't think we're going to see 10 grand. I think we'll see 23 before we see 10. So whether we stay up there or we come crashing back down again, who knows? But in the short term, and of course this is on the 4-hour chart, remains to be seen.
Big Chili Willie also $4.99 sticker. Muchas gracias, my dude.
Thank you, Will.
Getting back into the numbers, we got Bitcoin. So I already did Bitcoin. Ethereum 1,000. Rocco, if you don't mind, laptop. So we got
he's
Ethereum.
boycotting you because you said he's a bad driver.
I didn't say. I was an assumption.
You said he's the worst driver out of the three of us.
I tell you what, I was last.
He said, right? He said you're last. And if you ain't first, you're last. So. Go ahead, Robin.
If you ain't first, you last.
Robin's camera switching is going to be a little off today. He might get muted randomly. Go ahead.
All right, I'm gonna block in Rocco's car when he parks.
With the claims.
All right, Ethereum 1,150, holding strong. Are we gonna see the Ethereum at under $1,000 again? Yes or no? Any more? Through the future and all time.
If there's no delays in the merge, no. I don't think so. But we do have a lot of resistance at 1,200.
We also have Zeth, new in the chat. Hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto. Then let's see. We got, BNB fell out of, I just realized this. I know this didn't happen recently, but BNB fell out of the
Top three?
Yeah, the top three. They're outside the top five. They're in the top 5 now. So you have Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then the 2 stable coins. Used to be Tether a little further down the list here, or especially USDC. Taking a look, and also the Binance stable coins on the rise as well. Let's take a look at where this.
We put a lot of trust in Binance,
Yeah,
which, I mean, makes sense. You got,
largest exchange. So
and you got the man behind it is the world's most wealthiest crypto.
Here's
person.
Binance was not widely known pre 2017, and so it took the big bull market. No, Bullish Kenny G putting up $5 for Scrippers. Oh, nice. We love Scrippers here. And so it took the 2017 bull run to put Binance on the map. And then they were doing kind of what FTX is doing, where they were buying up exchanges, basically doing a lot of venture capital. And it was that cycle that they became the powerhouse that they are. And we're seeing the same thing out of FTX right now. Don't you agree? And I think perhaps come the next bull run, maybe FTX will be the largest exchange in the world. Very possible. Now, Taking a look at the rest of the market here, XRP up as well. You know, everything's kind of flat actually. All around.
You know,
1%. Taking a look at the crypto bubbles, we do have Tezos up 8%, Rune down 6%, and Monero, which is anybody using Monero anymore?
Yeah.
And if they are, we probably won't know it because it's all privacy, right?
You know, I wanna go over a Cardano chart really quick.
Okay, cool.
So we're big fans of ADA here, and I know there's a few community members who are as well. And so I'm just looking at the charts, kind of see price action, and then you know, I like to keep it as simple as possible. So I throw on my Bollinger Bands, and I see where a move's coming, and we've had decreasing volume since about a month ago. And so I go to Crypto Stackers Pro, and I throw on some long margin pressure levels to kind of see if it does break to the upside, where should we put our stop losses? And this is good if you're a swing trader. If you scalp profits, not something I recommend unless you're comfortable using charts and are not too risk averse, because these trades can go either way. But you can see here this 4x long level. We met some resistance here back in May, on May 14th. We broke above it, came back down, broke above it again. So this 59-cent level is what I would be looking at. If you are looking to swing trade Cardano to the upside, now with the Bollinger Bands, if we go back to this chart, if I had to make a guess as to where it's going to go, this 44-cent level has been extremely strong support. I mean, 1, 2, you can cluster this up as 3, 4, and if we hold above it now, that'll be 5 times over the last 2 months that we've held above 44 cents or 43 cents. So we're consolidating at a very key support level. We have the Bollinger Bands constricting at a very key support level. Volume has been decreasing. If we get a bump in volume and we break to the upside, I would look at 59 cents. And if it breaks through that, my next level would be 67 cents. By the way, if you want to use Crypto Stackers Pro, the link is in our bio.
I got a question.
Okay.
Would you, at a 50% fall off, which, you know, I know you got different sentiment than I do. I think we're going to have a big pullback, especially in the alts.
I think another pullback's coming, but and in the very short term, in the next 2 weeks, I think we're going to see a move to the upside.
Now, are you, what sounds sexier to you? A $600 Ethereum or 20-cent Cardano?
$600 Ethereum.
I mean, that's still the same pullback. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
the 50% off on both.
$60 Ethereum, $600 Ethereum, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. And that's
nothing against Cardano.
No,
but
no,
you're telling
I'm
me,
just curious. Yeah, I think.
Tell me the number one
the value,
yeah.
the entry price point of Ethereum at $600 for pretty much the assurance that you're gonna 5x your money within the next probably
minimum,
15 months. A 5x in 15 months is pretty damn good, and that's kind of conservative. We're 43 people in the chat. Let's get this thing going. Also, guess what? Fear and Greed Index. Pull it up, baby.
We over 20?
We're at 22. Yesterday at 24. So a lot of people are feeling a little easy. If you believe in the David theory and the short-term pump, you know what? The Fear and Greed Index backs that up because the public believes we're going up, at least in the crypto world. You know who doesn't believe we're going up?
Peter Schiff.
Is the legacy world. So we found this little survey.
Tell me this is Jim Cramer.
Not Jim Cramer. Here, this was a survey done with Wall Street investors. So investors that have exposure to crypto assets, particularly Bitcoin and Wall Street, were polled and asked their opinion. What is more likely to happen? Bitcoin to reach 30,000 or to hit 10,000? And
is there a timeline, or like as far as when is it going to happen, or just in
which would happen first?
Okay.
You go to 10 first or 30 first? So 60% of the polled individuals believe that it'll go to 10,000, with only 40% saying it'll hit 30. Now, Bitcoin bulls beware. Wall Street expects cryptocurrency crash to get a lot worse. So this was 950 investors responded to the survey. Yeah, that's all I got out of that. So,
What side are you on?
you know where I'm going. 10,000, baby. You know what? Actually,
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to hit quite 10,000. I think it'll get near it. I think 12,000.
Okay, let's do 12 or 28.
12 or 20. Oh, yeah, 12
I'll go
for sure.
12 too. Yeah.
Now, what else is Wall Street doing? Well, you know what? They might be so pessimistic because, well, Wall Street's down across the board. Oh, well, Dow Jones is flat, actually. But the SP 500 down a little over 0.5%. NASDAQ was down over 2% a little earlier before we went live. Now sitting at 1.5%. You might be asking yourself, why are we a cryptocurrency show talking about the NASDAQ? Well, the NASDAQ does follow tech-heavy stocks, which tends to be the more volatile and more risk-on assets out of Wall Street. And so those tend to trade very comparable to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. So we like to take a look at, and not to mention a lot of money from investors, some of your big players, your whales, well, they got portfolios that include not only cryptocurrency, but also index funds. And
here's the thing too, a lot of the QE over the last few years has gone to the tech sector.
Well,
so
tech in the same way Bitcoin was rallied super hard during the pandemic. And, you know, a lot of it was because, you know, people were forced to stay at home. Basically weren't allowed out of the house. And then they're like, here's some money and here's internet connection. Well, I mean, what do you think happened? People, you know,
Right.
Started binge watching Tiger King on Netflix. They were ordering copious amounts of unnecessary goods from Amazon and completely destroyed the supply chain. So that's where we're at now.
Hey, before you move
But now
on,
people are going back to work now. And so now, you know, if you want to look at why
are they going back to work? There's a lot of job openings.
comparison to to how it was. There's a big movement in this work from home thing, and I do think that we are transitioning in that direction slowly,
Especially with the metaverse.
Yeah, but I mean, realistically, you know, a lot of people that bought those webcams are like, I'm gonna work from home. Like, you know, at some point they're like, okay. Wife's getting mad at him, like, you get out of this house.
A lot
go
of
to work.
divorce. We should see an uptick in divorces. Listen, before you go, are you about to move on to the traditional articles?
Yeah, here in a second.
I want to talk about before you move on. Just let me know because I want to talk about Bitcoin mining before we move on to the traditional, and then we move on from there. So you done?
Go ahead.
Rocco, pull up my laptop. So this was shared. Okay, so HP sent this to me yesterday, and I watched it. It was really good. This is the Twitter handle is @documentingbtc, and this gentleman's name is Andreas Antonopoulos, who is a Greek. My Greek brothers. I'm Armenian. Greeks, Armenians, we are like essentially family. So I know we have one Greek person in here. If you're in here, say hi. Love to connect with you on a bro to bro level. Okay, all jokes aside. He talks about why Bitcoin and proof of work are secure. And he begs the great old question, well, what if someone with a crap load of money can just buy a supercomputer and take over 51% of the network? So please watch and please enjoy and take away and pay attention because it's very, very important. Rocco, let's play it.
Do you have any concerns about a large nation state that has interest in just actively destroying Bitcoin to make their own, super rigs and design chips and just throw hundreds of millions or billions of dollars to intentionally disrupt the blockchain?
Yeah, I don't worry about that at all. This cannot be done with Bitcoin anymore. This is something that can only be done with nascent altcoins. Bitcoin has achieved a level of computing that no single nation state can overthrow it through computation alone. The effort to do so would require a massive covert operation of chip fabrication, then the coordinated assault that would give them dominance over the next block for 10 minutes until we kick those bastards off the network, rework the protocol around them. They would be revealed. They would have lost $1 billion doing this, and all they got to do was one double spend. Now, here's the thing. Long before we get to that point, they figure out that if they just let this stuff run, they can actually get some Bitcoin as a reward because the incentive structure actually works. And so I'm not worried about that. And a lot of people are watching the blockchain. And as I said before, what are they going to do? So they take over and they fork the blockchain and they go, somewhere, right? They've created an alternative blockchain. Great. What are we going to do? Who's going to join the NSA blockchain? Anybody want to jump on FedCoin? So we're all going to stay on the old fork. Difficulty will go down. It will get more profitable for the miners who stayed behind, and we'll carry on with our coin, and they can go mine whatever the hell they want on their alternative blockchain. They achieve nothing. They can't make protocol changes because, as I said, 5 constituencies in consensus, and it would take $1 billion to pull the most ridiculous Keystone Cops failure in history. Plus, this would actually require government that can do IT.
Oh, that's funny. This would require government to do that. So what do you think about that, Rob?
I think it's a Bitcoin maxi just trying to act like a know-it-all. Essentially, yes. Okay. First of all, a government, they would have an extremely difficult path into taking over the network through mining operations. But essentially, if they wanted to, they could just buy all the Bitcoin that are on exchanges, and then they can. All you need is 51% of the tokens to control the network. And then, not to mention, you can just keep buying. And as a nation state, so if you're going to say the U.S., I mean, we printed, what was it, $5 trillion in the last 2 years? What is $1 billion? I mean, realistically. And so you could literally buy most of the Bitcoin that's available for sale as a nation state, if that was your prerogative, like you wanted to take over the network. China or, U.S. or any dominant power could just, purchase most of Bitcoin just that's available for sale with just, a couple $100 billion. And then they could control the network that way. And you don't need to control the network, like change the protocol. You can literally just manipulate anything you want. You can dump the market. You can, you can crash the market.
But you can't take over the network and
I'm not saying you don't need to physically have control of the network.
He's talking about security.
I know he's talking about security. But the thing is what I'm saying is that if he's saying the question proposed to the gentleman in your video was, hey, if a nation wanted to take over the Bitcoin network, they could get a bunch of mining rigs, buy enough mining rigs. And he's like, well, you couldn't buy. And, there's truth to what he's saying. But what I'm saying is that if a nation state wanted to take over the Bitcoin network, the path of least resistance would to be simply to buy Bitcoin. And yes, that would probably help Bitcoin in the long term because you're going to remove 60% of the supply and put it in a nation's treasury. But at that point, they control the network. And so don't think that Bitcoin is bigger than the United States.
In what way do they control the network? By holding the coins?
Okay. If you, first of all, there's a 51% attack where if you control 51% of the supply, you can.
It's 51% of the hash power, not the supply.
There's the hash power, but you can also.
You can. Okay. I get what you're saying. You can manipulate the price, but as far as like the security, the inner workings of the blockchain, you can't do that if you don't take over the hash power, and you can't do that by buying coins. So I get what you're saying. You can essentially control the price of Bitcoin,
if you have over half the Bitcoin. First of all, you can dump the market, and you can flood the market with tokens at any point in time. And then you could probably make miners go out bankrupt by doing so. And then you can go in, you can foreclose, or the federal government can come up and buy the closed miners. I'm just saying that Bitcoin, the market cap for Bitcoin is $300 billion. If the U.S. really wanted to control Bitcoin, they don't need to go call IBM and try to get a bunch of ASICs. I'm just saying they throw out enough money and they just buy the whole damn thing. I'm just saying that, like, if a nation's real mission, if a giant superpower, if their goal was to take over the Bitcoin network, they're not going to buy $1 billion worth of ASICs. They're just going to buy the Bitcoin and be like, okay, we control it. It's ours now.
You can control the price, and I guess you can essentially.
They could control the
if
whole
they
network.
tank the price, then yes, miners would have to unplug.
We always talk about if Satoshi's wallet became active. But what if it wasn't Satoshi's wallet? It was the U.S.'s wallet. They could pretty much do whatever the hell they want. All I'm saying is that with these Bitcoin maxis, they think that Bitcoin is so bulletproof. And yes, right now it essentially is. But if you're going to sit here and try to make an argument that a country the United States has no chance in controlling Bitcoin, they're sadly mistaken. If the U.S. really wanted to control Bitcoin, it might not be cheap, but they could. That's all I'm saying. And it's like this guy literally is a freaking Bitcoin max. He's just sweating that crap. He probably sits at dinner and he's just like, oh, Bitcoin, the greatest thing on the planet. Now, I agree. Bitcoin is amazing. It's revolutionary, but it's not the second coming of Christ here, okay? It is right now the most secure, the largest by market cap. It's the one that has the most adoption. It's the one that people put the most trust into. It's the one that's most likely to get investors from traditional markets. However, it doesn't do smart contracts. It doesn't push our industry forward as far as the tech sector and the adoption of blockchain and all of the beautiful things that we talk about, changing real estate, with the tickets and the NFTs. Like, it does none of that. It's a store of value. It's really good at it. It's a very, very, very strong and secure store of value. But don't get it twisted. If the U.S. government wanted to control Bitcoin, they could. If that was their priority. So, I mean, to sit here and laugh and be like, oh, good, you could try, U.S. That's all I'm saying. So, back at it here. America's inflation expectations.
From Fidelity.
You stop it, Fidelity commercial. All right. So, America's inflation expectations hit a fresh 11-year high in June. So this is the New York Fed president says. So the median expectation. So the median is not the CPI. This is more. Anyways, it's a different metric of inflation. The median is.
I just feel like there's so many different ones that the Fed will just pick whichever one's the lowest.
Yeah, I mean the CPI is the most important one, or at least the one that Wall Street looks at and investors.
I think what they do with the median one is they take the CPI, the PPI, the PCE, and they kind of like add them and divide it and say, oh, the average, the median is this.
Now, with the inflation, it's expected to be 6.8 for this one. A little different than the CPI. I know the CPI is going to be at over 8%, but the previous high of 6.6. So if this is any indicator of what's to be expected with the CPI, this is coming in higher. At least the expectation. The numbers haven't come in yet. This is going to be later this week.
Wednesday.
So this is the highest since the survey came out in 2013. With consumers lifting expectations for inflation over next year, they believe things like gasoline, Medicare, rent, tuition will also keep increasing over the next 12 months. So if you think gas and Medicare, rent, and your college tuition is high now, we have an expectation of that getting even higher. Also, what else is getting higher? It's all the mortgage rates. And so, the writing is on the wall that we're in a recession and we're probably going to go further down. If you think there's a correlation between recession and riskier investments, like say crypto in the eyes of legacy finance, then I think it's a safe assumption to think that crypto, if we go deeper in a recession, will also dip harder and go see some new lows. Americans are canceling deals to buy homes at the highest rates since the COVID pandemic. The share of sale agreements on existing homes canceled in June was up to almost 15%. This is the highest since 2020. Cancellations were about 11% a year ago. And so a lot of people are, getting that, they're getting signing that contract of intent. And then basically when it goes time for escrow and to sign paperwork, people are backing out. And
well, I'm assuming majority of them have to back out because
Yeah,
at the
a lot
point
of
where you go to close, you're like,
Yeah.
hey, interest went from 5 to 6%.
exactly.
That's an extra $200 a month. You don't qualify because your income's not that
Well,
high.
a lot of times, you'll lock in an interest rate, things like that. A lot of things fall through. And so a lot of times it's not the intention of the buyer. They don't look at the price tag and they be like, oh man, this is $10,000 more. A lot of times you get pigeonholed and you're like, you have no choice. And you're talking to your real estate agent. They're like, hey, you know what? You don't have enough down. We can't proceed with this. And then you have to cancel.
And I know in Vegas, there's a lot of new construction homes, and I've had experience with this. We signed a contract for a new construction home in 2019, and you can't lock in an interest rate until I believe 60 or 90 days. And so if you're in a new construction, you sign a deal, you're 4 months in, interest rates are going up. Now your lender's coming and saying, hey,
And
we might have to cancel.
And this is only going to get worse because we're only, I think, 2 months into these interest rate hikes. And the last one was 75 basis points. And so you're not going to see the effect of those on the houses that are already basically signed, that locked in their interest rate.
Right.
If you lock in your interest rate, it's good for 60 to 90 days. So that basically gives you that window to finalize your mortgage. But for the people that are locking in interest rates now, that they won't purchase their home for 2-3 months, substantially higher. How much higher? Well, taking a look here back at the chart or my article, the average rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage was around 3%. It was as high as 6% earlier this month, and it's pulled back a little bit down to 5.75. And so the price of homes are going up, and with this here, with this inflation going up, the federal interest rate is probably going to go up again another 0.75 basis points, and so I'd be looking at a 8-9% home mortgage, 30-year home mortgage by the end of the year. Maybe even as high as double digits. If they get...
Think about the ripple effects this could have, right? Because the average American, when they buy a home, they finance it. No one's got $300,000-$400,000 cash. So now with people getting priced out because of high interest rates, you're going to have more of these investment firms. In Vegas alone, we saw, I believe BlackRock was coming in here. There was some other hedge funds coming in, buying up a crap load of property, overbidding the typical American who just wants to buy a home for their primary residence. You're going to see more and more of that. And they're going to have all the leverage on their side. So imagine if you're a hedge fund or investor, you go into a growing market like Las Vegas, and you understand with the rates being so high, the typical American is not going to be able to get approved for a loan. They're not going to be able to buy that $250,000, $300,000 house. And guess what? Those buyers are gone. You step in as an investment firm. You got all cash. 5-day close, whatever the case may be, and bam, you come in and you scoop everything up and increase the rent.
So,
can have really a lot of bad ripple effects.
Quarter Crawler says gas in Cali is about $6.50, which is I'm glad you mentioned that because I'm gonna try to just speed through these. I got a few articles, but Europe on high alert as Russia temporarily halts gas flow via major pipeline. So. A couple things of note here. The Nord Stream 1 pipeline is Europe's single biggest piece of gas import infrastructure, carrying 55 billion cubic meters of... Dang, what happened to my article?
Yep, it does that. You got to reopen it.
Dang. There we go. So per year, this is from Russia to Germany. Now, the EU receives about 40% of its gas from Russian pipelines. They're trying to rapidly reduce their dependency, but this is infrastructure. In the same way that it takes 3 years to completely build a highway or 5 years, same thing can be said when it comes to infrastructure and moving pipelines. I mean, you got to start the fracking, and then you got to have the refinery system, and then you got to put the pipelines down. Then you have to have another refinery on the other end. So extremely complex to just, you can't just really decide, hey, you know what? We're going to stop using your gas and we're going to go somewhere else. I mean, you can have that idea, but just know that it takes years and years and years to go through a switch like that. Now, Europe is bracing for an extended shutdown of Russian gas pipelines as the maintenance work begins on. So this is scheduled maintenance, but the European Union and especially Germany is in fears that Russia's going to shut down the pipeline if they haven't already. And then they're going to provide maintenance. And they are in fear that they're not going to cut it back on. And so kind of makes sense. They're already kind of having a feud. It's already shut off. So, hey, you know what? Let's not turn it back on. And so that's what Germany is bracing for. I think that's all I got here. Now, so uncertainty in Europe, particularly Germany, and when it comes to energy consumption. But also over in China, if you have been watching the news lately, there's been a lot of bank runs on the Chinese banks. So Chinese bank depositors face police in angry protests. You know what? I had some videos pulled up of this. It didn't seem... wasn't anything I wanted to showcase or glorify or even realistically show. Just know that a bunch of people were fighting police outside of the banks, trying to get their money out. And you know how the protester clash goes. Not necessarily, just not a big fan of those. Not saying that it doesn't deserve attention, but we're just going to talk about it instead of viewing it. Protesters are among of thousands of customers who open bank accounts at 6 rural banks in Henan in China and neighboring Anhui province that offer higher interest rates. Sounds very familiar, right, David? Yeah. Now, they later found they could not withdraw their funds after media reports that the head of banks, parent company, so the parent company of these 6 banks, the president or CEO or the man in charge was on the run and wanted for financial crimes. And so a large crowd of angry Chinese bank depositors faced off with police on Sunday. And that's all I got on this. So you got a bank run. You got Chinese citizens trying to get their money out. You got banks offering unrealistic returns on interest for the savings account. We also got Sri Lanka. Political chaos persists as crisis talks go on. So over the weekend, political chaos in Sri Lanka is stretched into Monday. The prime minister, his residence remains occupied by protesters. Once again, don't want to show this. It's a little chaotic. Now, crowds of demonstrators overran Rajapaksa's home. Did I say it right? Am I good? Rajapaksa? Now, his seaside office and residential estate. The prime minister on Saturday, basically, they demanded he step down. And they're trying to put another prime minister in his place. And so the world is waiting to see who they are going to put forward. And if they don't, per the Constitution, the current prime minister will go back into his seat. So I don't think that's likely. So the world right now is waiting to see who's going to fill a spot. But anyways, why are we talking about this?
The funny part, there was a funny part of this whole thing, is when they all jumped into the president's pool or the prime minister's pool. That was kind of fun.
If you're gonna take over somebody's home, you might, and they
were
got
laying
a pool,
in the bed.
well,
They ransacked his room. They jumped in the pool. They had a pool party.
So corruption and mismanagement has left the island nation laden with debt, unable to pay imports on food, fuel, medicine, and necessities, causing widespread shortages for its 22 million people. They are seeking help from neighboring India and China and from the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. So Sri Lanka announced in April it was suspending payments of its foreign loans due to the foreign currency shortage. The foreign debt now amounts $51 billion. Must repay $28 billion by the end of 2027. So they pretty much defaulted on all this. And then lastly, Major Canadian internet outage attributed to router glitch. This is something we are all too familiar with here in the studio. Our router and cable modem has glitches and goes down all the time. So Canada, welcome to the club. But now, jokes aside, internet and wireless service from Rogers Communication Inc. are almost fully back online after being down for 19 hours. This disrupted banking, transportation, cell phone, and even 911 services. And so you have another example. Now, all three of these articles that I'm mentioning here, and you could even throw in this Europe thing. So you have basically Europe on high alert. They're going to run out of gas. This is how, and these aren't just, running your stove. A lot of the infrastructure runs on gas. You could have
just think about hot water, bro. Yeah. Showering, hot water.
Well, just
cooking
the
food,
powering of cities. And so you could have the infrastructure, the power infrastructure go out. And so here you could have, as we saw when the internet went out in Canada, it disrupted banking services. You can see the same here. You have a run on the banks. You have the Sri Lanka basically defaulting on their debts, and they have no financial infrastructure right now. And also, hey, you know what? You know who else might be on the brink of not having power? That would also be Texas. Texas grid operator warns of potential rolling blackouts on Monday. This was an article I pulled up last night. So let's see if anybody's in Texas. Do you have power? Question. Now, I didn't see anything of note here for this, but just this is just a warning. Now, I'm done with my my laptop here.
Okay.
A lot of uncertainty. So, what we're gonna do? Propose a question.
Okay.
That'll be in our hot take, the next segment. Let's go.
It's hot.
So, David, taking a page from all of the articles I'm talking about, giving some deep thought into the uncertainties around the world and the integral nature of the power grid, infrastructure, and the financial system. And you were seeing a bank run. You're seeing a country, Sri Lanka, not being able to make good on its loans and defaulting, and basically not being able to get medicine and services and food for their citizens. Do you think we are on a crash course for a monetary shutdown, a infrastructure collapse when it comes to the financial system? And if so, is there a shining light, a savior, a superhero in cryptocurrency and Bitcoin and maybe XRP or one of these payment infrastructures or smart contracts, or is Sri Lanka gonna all of a sudden come back to the fray with a cryptocurrency instead of their national currency that is now not worth anything? I mean, what do you think the implications of the global geopolitical mess that we're in right now? And what do you think this looks like in a year? Do you think we'll be in a financial apocalypse?
I want to say yes, but I don't think it'll get that far. I think it's just so intertwined with everything. The strength of the dollar goes up as the war in Ukraine. I'm over here hearing stories that countries like the U.S. only have 10 weeks of backup grain, wheat, bread, pasta, the fertilizer issue. Here's the thing I'm thinking, though, is one of two things is going to happen, right? That because the U.S. is so tied in with the rest of the world on a macro level, as the U.S. starts to constrict their economy, other countries are going to feel that pressure, but tenfold. So they're going to, and I've been saying this, I think you're good. Eventually, when you're cornered and you only have one or two ways out, you're forced to make that decision. people are going to be forced to get away from the U.S. monetary system or the under the U.S. monetary umbrella, and crypto can provide that for them. But it would have to get implemented on a more global scale, which I don't know if it's ready to do that yet. Or, man, you're going to see war. I mean, look what happened in the 40s with economic uncertainty. We came out of the Great Depression, and then what? World War II happened. You look in the early 1900s, same thing with World War I. You had the Spanish flu. Then you had the bank run of 1907, and the World War I happens. At some point, right, you're looking at yourself. You're in this hole. You're in a mess. What's the way to get out of it? Monetary policy, cut interest rate, hike interest rate, print more money, do this, do that. Well, we can't do anything until the U.S. does something. Then you have Russia blockading countries like Ukraine from exporting goods. So when you talk about gasoline rationing, food rationing eventually, to me, that's going to lead us down to a war, which if we do a war on a global stage, I don't think monetary this is going to matter. But coming out of it, depending on what side wins, then you'll see a complete restructuring. And either way, whether we do go into war and everything gets restructured or we don't and we handle it, I think crypto will have a big role in the shifting and the new shaping of a new, essentially, global economy. I'm not saying everything's going to be intertwined.
So
But-
how do you feel crypto plays a role in this?
I think
Now
crypto-
saying- you
Here's the-
think it's still too early? Because you could easily make a case and say that, you know, we opened up the show saying that cryptocurrency, Bitcoin in particular, is in its infancy. It's so small. The market cap for crypto is so small that if a nation state wanted to control it, they essentially could. And if we're in a wartime, both with troops and monetarily, you know, it could be, we could find ourselves in a situation where, you know, a country just, you know, either tries to get into crypto and fails because it's too small, or maybe nobody even tries to because it's too small. Do you think there's an avenue for cryptocurrency to remedy the issues that are at hand, or do you think it's still too early?
I think it's still too early. I don't think the infrastructure is there yet. I mean, dude, crypto's been around for like, if we're being fair, 8 years, 7 years.
Yeah.
You can even say 5 years, 2017.
Well, you know, with a global reset, I know you mentioned war, and with a global reset, you know, if you're at the table negotiating and bargaining, you know, I think a lot of the issues that we have now is with the political pressures that are put on to the monetary system. And I think that when we had the Bretton Woods Agreement, so when we decided, you know, when the nations all sat down and were like, hey, man, if we're going to trade and we're going to rely on each other in exchanges and goods and all this, and if we're going to do this, we need one money. You know, we need one currency that is interchangeable, and we all agreed in the U.S. In the same way that, like, you don't go to Binance and go and pay for things in 5 different currencies. You're not looking at the price of Bitcoin in 5 different currencies, because at that point you don't know which one is the standard. We know Bitcoin right now is at $20,000. But what is the price of it in pesos? What is the price of it in rubles? What is the price of Bitcoin in the yuan? So, you know, we like one number, so that way we can just easily keep track of things and easily transact amongst one another. And so if we go through this economic turmoil and we do end up going to war, and we do sit down with all the nation leaders and we discuss how are we going to move forward with a new monetary system that is not influenced by politics, because that's part of the reason we're in the mess now, is because the U.S., when they sat down and were like, okay, we'll be the world reserve currency, you know, I don't think anybody planned to be like, well, we're the reserve currency unless you piss us off. And if you piss us off, we're going to boot you off the network.
Well, here's the big reason the U.S. was nominated to be the reserve currency, because they held the most gold. They held the most gold, and they were on the gold standard.
Well, times have changed. And,
I know,
I don't mean with the gold. I'm just saying that at this point, the world reserve currency, you know, the global trade wasn't where it is now. And the dependency of borrowing from one another isn't where it is now. And a lot of the situations where, you know, okay, cause and effect of this interest rate hikes that we get. And most people just easily assume that, okay, interest rates go up, mortgage rates go up. Yeah, that's true. You know, so that's at face value what we see at home.
But it also strengthens the dollar. Which
Against other currencies.
Yeah, which in turn brings down the value of other currencies.
So what ends up happening is when we do these interest rate hikes, all the countries around the world that are using the dollar for trade that rely on the dollar are now borrowing and transacting and purchasing our dollar with a higher interest rate than before. And so there is, you know, in the same way that the bank interest rate, the same way that you go to the mortgage company and you're like, man, why the hell is it 10% 30-year APY on my mortgage? China's saying the same thing, and so is India, and so is Brazil, and so is everybody that's buying U.S. bonds. You know, or they're borrowing money, or they're trying to start, you know, trying to raise capital, or whatever it is. Everyone's transacting in the dollars because it's the world reserve currency. And so we're stuck in this situation where as our inflation goes up and we increase our interest rates, first of all, inflation goes up, so we're debasing our dollar, which debases the world currency, which debases all of the economies. And then on top of that, we're raising the interest rates. And so now every country that uses the dollar is now borrowing money at a higher percent interest rate. So now we're not talking about a recession here just in the U.S. We're talking about a recession that is collateral, that pushes over to other people. We also got Mr. Technologies new in the chat. Hola! Welcome. Also,
Technologies? Techno Goody.
Get a new name.
If you're new to the channel, guys, Robin, if he mispronounces your name, it's not to shame you. It's not on
the
purpose.
text over here is very small.
Yeah, no, it's not. I read the same text just fine. Maybe you need glasses. He's got an issue, so just bear with him. He means well, okay?
You know, I think you know, so
okay,
in discussion,
so, to everything you said, what U.S. does affects the global markets. You don't think the people, maybe not the governments, but the citizens of any country in Europe or the world, you don't think they're going to be like, we are so sick of watching America make decisions that
100%.
Affect us directly.
Now, here's the thing: like we can have our own. We can put our policies in. We can make suggestions. We can, you know, flex our muscle and be like, "Hey, we got nukes or whatever it is." But the problem that arises here is that with our sanctions, with booting people off of the SWIFT network, as an example, we're running it. We're going into dangerous territories, and we're basically using the global reserve currency and the SWIFT system as a weapon. And as other countries look at this, and what you said earlier is that if we end up going back to a negotiation table, if we do end up going to war and we do decide to go for another world reserve currency, then the leaders of these nations are going to sit down and
Dogecoin.
They're going to pick a monetary asset that isn't controlled by politics.
Yes.
One that's decentralized.
Yes.
One that isn't controlled
One
by...
that's accessible.
One that isn't controlled because, like, if you think about it, you're like, hey, are we in good standings with the U.S.? Could we piss them off in the future in any way, shape, or form where they could sanction us and cripple us if they wanted to? And so you could say you can replace the U.S. with any country. So you do the same thing with England or, you know, with China or Russia or Brazil or Australia. You take their monetary system and you make it the world reserve currency. You are at a handicap. You are waiting to see if anything happens politically in that country. And if all of a sudden their president or prime minister decides to print a bunch of money like we did and just debase the world reserve currency. And so what is better than a cryptocurrency as a replacement?
DeFi brought up a good point. He says crypto software, right? You hear Kevin O'Leary talk about it all the time. It's software.
It's not, the beauty of it is that it's not manipulated, essentially, you know, when it gets larger. It can't be controlled. It can't be manipulated. And if you're a president and all of a sudden something doesn't go right with the banks, you can't be like, hey, we're going to double the supply of Bitcoin this month. Like, nah, that's not how it works. And so it puts safeguards and it puts basically prevents politics from doing the dookie Doge.
Yeah, I was kidding about Doge, by the way.
He likes
Just make sure Elon Musk is not at that table when they do sit down and discuss.
I just look.
It'll be interesting.
I look
It'll
at
be
these
interesting.
articles that I cover, and it all lines up with that entrance to the post-apocalyptic movie. Don't you agree? Doesn't it seem like if you were laying out the narrative for, nuclear war and everyone's trading with gold or, some digital currency and, the metaverse thing, and, you're playing in a trailer, with your metaverse thing and some destroyed
Playing
LA.
in a trailer?
I'm just saying, you seen Ready Player One?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not
Wow,
seeing Ready
that's
Player
a
Two?
beautiful movie.
Was it a good movie?
Yeah, you should watch.
Should I watch it?
If you like NFT,
Rocco
you
said
gotta
I'm gonna.
It's by
Rocco said I
Steven
should.
Spielberg, bro.
definitely get it.
Rocco said should watch it. I'm gonna watch it. Thank you, Rocco.
So, I think that if you're going to create a movie and the movie is about to be this post-apocalyptic world that, nobody trusts the government, you're transacting with crypto, this is the beginning. The beginning is Sri Lanka falls, bank run in China, Europe has no power.
That's what I'm-
China's, Canada's internet's out. Biden fell asleep. You know what I mean? Like these,
He fell off his bike.
and so,
Oh, man.
it feel like the narrative is there, and I think the warning signs and the writing's on the wall, and I'm scared because cryptocurrency, like you said, ain't quite ready yet, and so I don't want to. I want to wean off of the financial system. I don't want to go to my bank and not have anything in my checking account. I still got, they don't do a auto payment from my Bitcoin wallet for my mortgage. You know what I'm saying? So all I'm saying is that feeling a little insecure right now.
Do think a big shift is coming though, so we'll see. That was interesting. All right, let's move on. Mr. Botticelli,
Talking point.
talking points. We are 3 away from opening up the club. Again, if you're new to the channel, please say hello. We'd love to welcome you personally to our family here at Sin City Crypto. All right, so first, I know Robin said he's tired of talking about it, but hey, man, a lot of people's money's on the line, so we're going to talk about it. Celsius hires new restructuring lawyers to help navigate its options. Celsius has hired new counsel to advise it through a possible restructuring. Lawyers from Kirkland and Ellis will advise Celsius on options, including bankruptcy filing. Celsius's management has not yet started a path forward since the market plunge left the company in an unstable liquidity position from which it has yet to recover. Sources said Celsius believes much of its retail clientele would prefer the firm avoid bankruptcy and that users could show their support by engaging HODL mode in their Celsius account, a security feature that keeps users from withdrawing or sending funds while activated, in the hopes that the legal team would see the strength of feeling existing among users. Don't speak yet. I'm trying to bring my blood pressure down because when I read this yesterday, so Celsius's plan, okay, is they're dangling the bankruptcy carrot and say, hey, we might have to do this. We know you don't want us to do it, community, but we might have to. But hey, guess what? If you guys turn on your HODL mode, so then you can't withdraw money if we do open up withdrawals, that'll really, that'll show our lawyers that you guys, actually won't take all your money out. Fuck you. If I was an investor, I'd be like, fuck you. So we have to prove ourselves to your lawyers. We have to prove ourselves to your lawyers. Does that make any sense?
Nope.
Does that shit piss you off? That is, oh my God, man. I watched the interview that Invest Answers did. By the way, Invest Answers, we have zero affiliation, nothing. We've reached out to him a couple times. He's got some good content on crypto YouTube. He did an interview with Simon Dixon, who is the founder and CEO of Bank to the Future. He's the guy that came up with the recovery plan. A lot of people in the Celsius community don't like him, but everything I've heard from this guy has been fact. And he talked about his process because his company was an investor in the first round when Celsius was raising money. There were also potential investors again in the Series B round. And he personally in the company holds Celsius assets. And go watch that video if you haven't. They are so shady. And I've just been pondering this question. Why are they unlocking collateral? Why are they using hundreds of millions of dollars to unlock Bitcoin? You know why they're doing it? It's because there is such a hole and they have zero way of explaining where billions of dollars went. And it all comes down to fraud. That if they go through bankruptcy with that hole, the judge is going to be like, I need to see everything. I need to see where this hole came from. And if the judge does that and they have to disclose that information, because every investor in Celsius, and I'm talking institutional investors, not retail investors, has requested these documents and Celsius has turned their backs on them. They have not given up this information. And you wonder why, right? If my wife says, babe, let me see your phone. And I'm like, no, why didn't you see my phone? She probably knows I'm hiding something. Same thing with Celsius. Their investors are saying, hey, we'll help you raise money. We'll buy some of your assets, but we need to see where this hole is. And Celsius says no. And they know that if they go to bankruptcy, the court is going to ask for it and they're going to be mandated to give it. So why are they unlocking this collateral? They're unlocking the collateral to plug that hole. And then eventually they will file bankruptcy and retail will be screwed. Mark my words, that is what's going to happen. And this whole investors can turn on HODL mode, absolute horseshit. Absolute bullshit. Retail investors have zero responsibility to you to prove to you and your lawyers that they believe in your company. Why would they believe in your company? They haven't had access to the funds in over 30 days. Robin, what do you got to add to this?
It's just a shady ass company,
God,
bro.
It's so shady, bro.
From top to bottom.
And so, to throw it back on investors, like, oh, what a slap to the face, man. If I was a Celsius holder, I'd be pissed.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, nothing surprises me from them. I mean, honestly, because, the red flags were there before. Just people chose not to acknowledge them and to push them aside. And, there was a handful of experts that were like, hey, man, this ain't good. They had a couple hacks early in the days. I think there was one earlier this year, and there was like two the year before. So, Celsius had already exposed themselves to riskier DeFi that ended up costing them. And so, and if you did any research into the investments of Celsius beforehand, you'd see that the writing was on the wall. And so I'm just not surprised with anything they do, man. And I think that we're going to see a lot more companies. And we talked about this last week, but just in the same way you got shady people, you have shady companies. It's just human nature. And in human nature, shady people will congregate and start a shady company. And so
please do not put your HODL mode on. Please. That would be the dumbest thing you could do.
I was looking back at some of our video, or, one of our Voyager videos, and I remember talking, and I remember Sarah, who's in the chat, was asking, she was like, oh, I didn't really realize the Voyager's situation. And I remember her saying she took her crypto off of Voyager.
Did you pull all your money out of Voyager, Sarah? Let us know if you did. That'd be awesome if you did.
During the show, I don't know.
She said during the show she did? I don't know.
Not today, but during that other show.
Hey, man, I know I got a few friends off it. Eddie's friend's mom reached out to Eddie and said, hey, I've heard some stuff about Voyager. So Eddie texted me, and I was like, yeah, this was a week and a half before Voyager went down. And I said, have her get all the money off of there. And I'm not saying this to be like, oh, I know everything. I'm just saying we'd rather err on the side of caution because if even if we're wrong and Voyager was fine, you could just put the money back in there, right? But once you leave it in there and they go under, you can't take your money out. All right, let's move on. So people were freaking out. I can't tell you how many people text me, hey, oh my God, Coinbase stopped withdrawals. Coinbase is going under. Well, apparently it was a snafu and they fixed it. And US users are able to withdraw again. Coinbase said it's fixed a major withdrawals issue that left users in the US unable to access their funds. It's funny how the timing of these things, right? Like if this would have happened 7 months ago, no one would have batted an eye. But now with Voyager, Celsius, everything else, people started freaking out.
Yeah,
During the outage, users reported a number of issues, including having their funds locked by Coinbase for 3 weeks and transferred Bitcoin not showing in their wallet. And this is, I guess, a conversation with the Coinbase assistant. I'm not going to read that. This is from Coinbase, a statement. We are currently investigating a temporary issue with U.S. bank account instant withdrawals. We're in contact with our payment processing partner regarding this issue. And if you remember, back in May, the company's withdrawal function froze as crypto prices across the board began to plummet. So, yeah, she said she pulled. Man, that is amazing. Sarah, I am so happy for you. Seriously, I am so, that makes me feel so good that I was able to help, that we were able to help someone. Because
in
this
contrast,
channel's not making any money. We're not making money doing this. But I'll tell you what, that right there is worth a $50,000 endorsement to me, to this channel, for me personally. That's amazing. That's awesome.
You're asking her for 50 grand? Is that what you're
No,
doing?
no, I'm just saying, to me, some things are worth more than money. And that to me is worth more than money. That is amazing. I don't know how much you had, whether if it's your life savings, a little bit. Either way, that's awesome. That's awesome.
In contrast, when we did our Voyager video, we had a couple of commenters talking about we don't know what we're talking about, and they're still staking. And so you have two different paths there. You have one person that listens, and I'm not saying that anything we're saying is financial advice, but we're just getting news together for you. We're basically doing the research for you, and if you'd like to accept it or read it or do whatever you'd like with it, then at that point, why not? Because I mean, me and David and Rocco here, we're up at night. We're pulling articles that we want to discuss at the end of the night, and then we come in the morning and we sift through everything, we put everything together. And so essentially what we're doing here is we're doing the research for you. We go through, and we are not with any influence of any exchange or any sponsor or anything. So you're just getting...
but with that being said, you always still want to do your own research as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? Well, you just don't have to do the in-depth stuff.
You don't want to listen to just one source. You don't want one source on anything.
Right.
You should in the same way that when we gather our research material, we don't go to one source.
Right.
I go traditional. I'm a little bit more traditional finance than David is. So for me, I start from, Fox, Bloomberg, and CNN.
You're more traditional finance based off what?
I'm just saying that, I like to see
Tread
where the
tread carefully, bro.
finance is.
I took economics courses.
Oh, good for you. Congratulations.
I didn't graduate.
Pat yourself on the back. And you didn't graduate. Now,
let's talk about this Coinbase thing, Rob.
Let's go.
No one is too big to fail in crypto. I don't care if it's Binance, Coinbase, FTX. Get your money off exchanges. They're blaming their payment processor. Who knows if that's true? Is it also a coincidence that back in May, the withdrawal function froze at when Terra Luna happened and everything started crashing?
Let me explain something to you, man.
But
how long does it take for you to get money off of Coinbase? They're pretty quick, right?
Yeah, they're very quick.
They're usually about 3 to 5 days, right?
To get money in your account?
No, out. You know what I mean? Just generally. Just like say you
to put money on Coinbase?
No,
take it
to
away
withdraw
from Coinbase?
to get
yeah, about
3 to 5
yeah.
days, right? Binance is a week. And then most of the other exchanges are a week. It takes you a week to get things off. How fast does it take you to put money on?
10 seconds.
10 seconds.
Not even.
So if you have the mentality, well, I'm gonna keep my coins over here in case the price dips and I can buy. Like, you don't need to. The price dips and you want to buy, just load it up, baby. It'll take you 10 seconds. There's no need to keep it on there. If you got $10,000 or $100,000 or $1,000 or $10, whatever the hell it is, keep it in your damn bank account or in a private wallet. And then when the time comes and you need to pull the trigger, just go to the website, go to the exchange, deposit, and you can start purchasing and pulling the trigger right then and there. So get that mentality that you got to have coins on the side on the exchange to pull out, to make transactions. Unlike other YouTubers that are like, well, I kept my coins on there because I'm a day trader and I need to buy and sell. Like, no, you don't. You do not. You do not need to keep your money on an exchange to buy when the price dips.
You can do it. You might pay a little more, but you can do it. Do it through MetaMask. Do it through Trust Wallet, if anything, if that's your worry. At least that's safer than having a centralized exchange. But even now,
literally
with
10 seconds.
Trezor and Ledger, you can do it directly without even moving your coins out of there. So that's a bad excuse. And Redman, I don't think Coinbase is going under. I really don't. I'm just saying
they're good. They're good.
Always better safe than sorry.
But you never know. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'll just tell you what. If we had to do 2 weeks worth of show talking about the failure of Coinbase and how they went down, would you be absolutely floored, shocked, David? I mean, would you be so flabbergasted? You'd be like, I never thought this would happen.
No, but I would be very surprised. But I wouldn't be.
Out of all of the exchanges, that would be the one that would surprise me the most.
Binance would floor me.
But that's what I'm saying. But they're not even impervious. I mean, in 2008, almost the Bank of America and Wells Fargo almost went under. And if it wasn't for the money printing, they would have. And so you can't assume that they're not going to ever go under. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so would it shock me? Yeah. Would it be something I never thought could happen? No, not at all. And if we had to do 2 weeks of shows talking about the failure of Coinbase, that seems like something that's possible. And but with that said, Coinbase is probably fine.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have any issues.
I think they're fine.
But proceed with caution, man.
Yeah.
You never know.
I had money on Coinbase. I pulled it off. So, all right, let's move on. A Bitcoin spot ETF gets approved, but not in the U.S. In Germany, in the Deutschland. Ich liebe Deutschland. Think that means long live Germany or something? I don't know. One of my German friends told me that.
Don't ever use a German accent and throw your hand up like that, bro.
Well, I did the fist.
Oh, yeah.
No, okay. Nothing was meant by it. I was like, yeah,
man,
like a rally cry.
You just stop.
The fist
Stop,
pump.
bro.
Take the camera off.
Stop, please.
All right. A new physically backed Bitcoin ETN just launched in Germany. German financial services company Econex, which also trades on the NASDAQ, has launched its first investor product with a new physically backed exchange-traded note on the Deutsche Börse Xetra exchange. I hope I pronounced all that right. And it allows German investors to use standard brokerage services to trade back and forth between the asset, being Bitcoin, while also allowing investors the opportunity to redeem actual Bitcoin for free with a DigiVault custody account. While these services will launch specifically for German markets, Econex intends to build out a more robust set of offerings for the international stage. Well, don't bring it to the U.S. because Gary's going to just Gary will just shoot it down. Will you give my man Jonathan Ola here?
Jonathan Ola! Welcome to the crypto.
What's up, Jonathan? Welcome in, my friend. Furthermore, Econex seeks to ensure... Oh, here's interesting. They seek to ensure that its investors will have an additional level of security through its custodial provider, DigiVault, as the company will hold the aforementioned physical Bitcoin in a segregated account, which guarantees the Bitcoin cannot be rehypothecated, a.k.a. reinvested, a.k.a. lent out, a.k.a. what Celsius did, a.k.a. what Voyager did. In addition, Econex worked with on-chain analysis company Chainalysis to ensure the Bitcoin they have custodied has not encountered money laundering or criminal activity. Why can't we do this here? Why? Like every other financial decision, every other thing that involves finance is on a global stage in the U.S. We are the leader, but we can't get a freaking spot ETF for Bitcoin.
it's still. I still think this is bullish, man. I don't think
Well, of
that.
course it's bullish.
Yeah.
And here's what's
No,
most,
but I think it's bullish for the ETF eventually being passed here in the U.S.
I mean, every
At some
U.S.
point.
ally has a spot ETF. now.
Exactly. So you can sit here and throw a pity party about us not having the ETF, whatever you want to do. But as every country that we transact with, all the countries we're buddy with, as they adopt the Bitcoin ETF, you got less and less excuses, Gary Gensler. You got less and less excuses because everybody else is doing it. At some point, you got to get in, right?
He's gonna get fired, bro.
Well, I mean, at some point, the president's gonna say something, don't you think? I mean, he had so the president had an executive order basically saying, "Hey, crypto's here to stay. Let's figure this thing out. Let's get some kind of regulation guidelines. Let's at least do something." And there's a lot of
That could possibly, if Gary Gensler leaves or gets fired, that would be the most bullish thing for crypto ever. You know why? Because you know who's going to step in? Crypto mom, Hester Pierce, the commissioner of the SEC.
it's an appointed cabinet member. So,
Well, she would be first in line to get the spot. So she would have to go through the whole hearing and this and that.
well, here's
But
the thing.
she'd be next in
Gary
line.
Gensler was appointed by Biden, and so he'll probably stay there until he either resigns, is forced to resign, or he
Gets promoted to what he wants, Treasury
or
Secretary.
until Biden leaves office. So realistically, we're probably stuck with Gary Gensler until the next presidential election.
Well, the midterms are here.
And then what's going to end up happening is when they put in the secretary, or when they put in the chair of the SEC, what's going to end up happening is that they're going to select their own members to help them. So
Bro Kiyoshi wants to know, did you say Gary Guzzler? That's pretty funny.
so the
Did you or no?
so basically Gary Gensler and his team will be gone. It's not like they're all appointed. I'm just under the assumption. So you change the presidential candidate, or you change the president, they're going to change their cabinet. The cabinet members, they put their own teams in.
Let me ask you this question. So we agree that if a spot Bitcoin ETF gets approved, it would be very bullish for the crypto markets, yes?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, do you think that would be a win on a political level for the administration to say, hey, look, the crypto markets are going.
I mean, here's okay. If you're gonna go on that kind of direction, here's
Like,
something.
not all the markets are
here's
down.
here's
Crypto's
something
booming.
I could see happening. You have the next political election coming up in 2024, which is right at the same time that you're gonna have the next bull cycle for crypto. So, bull market will probably be over when we're talking about the next president. And so the next presidential candidate, I wholeheartedly believe, will be endorsing and getting behind crypto.
I agree.
And so if your opponent, and right now crypto is not Democrat or Republican, or, it's kind of just widely adopted across party lines. And so if the Republican candidate running for office is getting a ton of support and a ton of love when it comes to the topics of cryptocurrency, Biden's going to probably do the same thing because it crosses party lines.
Right.
And
That's the beauty of crypto, guys.
and so not only are the voters, not only are the people that are invested in crypto going to speak loudly, but you got to think, where's a lot of that campaign money coming from? And I think most of it's going to come from, or not most of it, but I think a lot more than it was traditionally is going to come from crypto. FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried, was the second largest contributing to Biden's presidential campaign. So I think as this market grows, and as we go into another bull market next year, or
this dude's buying everything. Exchanges,
what I'm saying
politicians, the president.
it's not going to be the second largest donator. I think next presidential election, the largest donator is going to be crypto.
Yeah.
And it's going to be on both sides of the table. And so when your presidential candidate is sitting there at the debate podium and saying, hey, this guy will not pass a spot Bitcoin ETF. This country's doing it. This country's doing it. He is hindering and stopping the adoption of cryptocurrency. And you look at the economic failures that they had right now, and the solution, one solution could be crypto. And your guy here, he's falling behind. And so if that's the debate, then I could see Biden coming up and being like, all right, we need to get this ETF thing going. And then applying the pressure to hold Gary the gun. That's his boss. And if boss is like, hey, man, you said it's a commodity, right? Gary's gonna be like, yeah. Be like, all the commodities are traded as ETFs except for Bitcoin, right? Yeah.
Well, you see what had happened was.
Exactly. There it is.
Don't ever do that again.
Exactly.
All right, let's move on. We got to speed this up a little bit, Robin. Terra-based projects begin exodus to Polygon following the collapse of the Terra Luna. Around 50 different crypto projects built on the collapsed Terra network have migrated to Polygon. This is a quote from the CEO of Polygon. His name is Ryan Wyatt. We're opening our arms to all who want to come over. A lesson learned in the Terra collapse is that it's very wise to be on an EVM compatible chain so that you don't have to rebuild. So I just hope that wherever developers go, they go with EVM in mind for longevity. The network will try to make the migration seamless by providing the capital and resources for those projects to thrive. You surprised it's Polygon and not anything else?
I think
that's why we saw a big pump in Polygon. People are still building.
I just think that, okay, well, first of all, Polygon's pretty scalable. And it's a large project. And it runs or, it leverages the security of the Ethereum network. So if you are a dev, if you create DEXs or dApps or whatever it is, and you left the Terra Luna ecosystem, where else would you go? Ethereum's too slow, right?
Right now.
Bitcoin, that's out of the question.
SHIB.
Stop it. And so why not, man? Why not Polygon?
Yeah.
It's scalable. I don't think Cardano's development's quite there yet. As far as if you're a dApp developer and you're leaving one big ecosystem and you just kind of want to easily transition and not wait.
Solana probably gives you PTSD
Solana
if you're a Terra
obviously
dev.
goes down.
Tron.
The BNB chain is it's lost its luster lately.
It's a scam chain.
And so yeah, Polygon kind of makes sense, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, and
they're a solid project too.
And as Polygon's, if you think about it from Polygon's point of view, of course they're gonna promote this. You know what I mean? Of course they're gonna be like, hey guys, come on over here. Come on over here. Look, we're fast, we're cheap, we're scalable, and we got really good security that we use from the Ethereum network. So
Polygon solid. All right.
makes sense. I think a lot more of this. Will Polygon end up being the behemoth?
Possible. Very possible. We'll find out. All right, let's move on. They put out an APB for the co-founders of Three Arrows Capital. As the bankruptcy filing claims, the location of the two co-founders is currently unknown. This is a quote, or this is a statement from the bankruptcy filing. The foreign representatives understand and believe that while the debtor, a.k.a. Three Arrows Capital, has had certain operations in Singapore, Mr. Davies and Mr. Zhu, current location remains unknown. They are rumored to have left Singapore. Suzu was reportedly looking to sell his $35 million Singapore mansion and have the proceeds sent to a bank in Dubai. Robin, what are they doing?
They're running, bro.
So if you're Voyager, are you still banking on getting money back from the 3AC loan? Because that's a big chunk of the money they plan on paying their consumers back. That was interesting.
No, man, there you are. That company is done. Three Arrows is done. The founders are probably here's the thing, man. You don't take how much money did he initially lose? It was a valuation like $12 billion, right?
I think it was 3.
The 3?
I could be wrong. I think it was 3. Oh, right here. Yeah, managed $3 billion in assets as of April 2022.
Okay, so $3 billion essentially gone, right? You can't tell me that you
12.5% of that was
you can't tell me that you lost all of that money in a blue collar, did everything by the books kind of way.
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
it's like, it's possible, highly unlikely. And so now that you have nations, government agencies, and you're filing for bankruptcy, you need to be transparent, and everyone's looking at your books and looking at what you did. Yeah, probably if you did anything illegal or shady or any kind of fraud, you're going to be exposed, right?
Right.
And you could safely say that if you lost $3 billion worth of other people's money, you probably had some fraud to do with it. And so you're on the run, not surprised. It's all speculation. But,
Will they find him? Who knows?
They can never bought Sri Lanka with that money.
That's messed up. I mean, you're right. You're not wrong. Let's move on. 10.9% of Ethereum supply now deposited in ETH 2.0. The total amount of ETH deposited into the 2.0 contract has topped 13 million ETH, aka almost 11% of the total supply. And Lido Finance held 31.8% of the overall stake. Merge supposed to be coming Q3, Q4 of this year. We'll see if it happens. The second testnet went great. Difficulty bomb got pushed back. So we'll see. Robin? Bullish, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's coming. And so, if you believe that this will roll out with no hitches, right? No issues, no problems. I think it'll be fine.
Chances are very high, yes.
And because it's not essentially a hard fork, and you're not turning off the network, you're just merging. Basically, you're just taking ETH's wallet addresses and you're just adding it to the new chain. That's essentially all they're doing. They're not even bringing over the transaction history.
Right. Yeah.
So the transaction history doesn't even come along with it. And so essentially all you're doing is you're just taking all the Ethereum wallet addresses and the amounts that are in them, and you're just stamping it, and all the smart contracts, you're just stamping it onto the merge, and then just using that on the beacon chain moving forward. So, yeah.
You think we'll see it this year? You're a believer,
I
right?
adamantly believe it'll come in September, October at the latest, and hold on to your seats, put your seatbelt on, because Ethereum's going straight moonshot. If I had a little rocket chair, like
Sounds more like a cappuccino, but it's okay.
Yeah. We got the coffee expert in house.
I'm just saying, man.
All right. Last one we're going to talk about before we move on to a couple NFT topics here. Justin Sun has thrown his hat into the ring. Says they are ready to spend billions to save crypto industry. A lot of Captain Savo, what's in the industry here. And looks like there we go. Sun also mentioned that Tron is asking an investment bank to help them with any deals that Tron is considering. And he goes on to say, our interest is platforms with a large user base, both centralized and decentralized finance platforms. His Excellency, he tweeted, we are friends with everyone and are always ready to serve. Like, yo, why don't you get your blockchain going a little bit here before, I don't know, man. Justin doesn't have the cleanest past as far as what he's done and said and the actions he's taken. So I don't know. I don't know if I want Justin Sun to come to the rescue of the rest of the crypto industry. Robin, what do you think?
Well,
would you like His Excellency to come to the... He loves it when people refer to him that way, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
That's what it stands for. Justin Sun, His Excellency.
You're going to see big money. You're going to see basically a
The lemon emperor.
You're going to see a consolidation of capital and monopolization of capital right now because people are losing money. And what happens when businesses lose money? If they get offered a bailout, if you are barely making rent, you got people you can't afford to live, and you have a company worth X amount of money, and you know you're going to be in a bear market for 2 years, and more than likely you're just going to file for bankruptcy, why not make some money off of the sale of your company and take some time off? And so you see this in traditional finance. You see this around the world with just brick and mortar businesses. With the failure of a small business, big business comes up and scoops up clientele and that business. And so we're going to see this. That's why we're seeing with FTX right now. You're seeing it with Justin Sun. So all of the top players that have treasury assets, money to spend, money to burn, this is what they're doing. But come the next bull run, you're going to see the resurgence of small projects. You're going to see other players coming into the fray. In the same way that FTX became what it was, FTX wasn't a household name up until this last bull run. And so I'm curious to see who else is gonna be this dominant player in the next bull cycle. Will it be Cardano? Will we see new exchanges? Will we see new DEXs? Will we see new NFT functionality? New NFT like
utility.
Not necessarily utility, but just structure. And so instead of it being JPEGs, are we going to see the rise of the NFT and an artist
digital identity?
No, with like say music as an example, or maybe television shows instead of basically streaming your TV through Netflix. Maybe you just purchase and buy NFT rights or rental rights through NFTs. And so obviously you can only use your imagination, and imagination probably won't even scratch the surface of what the future will actually look like. But yeah.
Well, you have a mundane imagination. My imagination is very high and bright. Anyways, let's move on to our last segment of our show. We're talking NFTs, baby. Let's go. All right. Biology majors rejoice. Chemists rejoice. COVID vaccine fans rejoice. Christie's is going to auction an NFT in celebration of the mRNA COVID vaccine to celebrate the history-making contributions in which two senior figures from its medical department made with regards to the worldwide fight against COVID-19. The University of Pennsylvania is auctioning off a limited edition, entirely unique NFT based upon mRNA medical technology. The one-of-one asset is dubbed the mRNA NFT and is essentially a digital memorial of the work which Dr. Drew Weissman and Dr. Catalin Carico conducted in order to bolster the mRNA vaccine's pushback against COVID-19. It includes a 3D video which illustrates the mechanics of the mRNA vaccine at the microscopic level, and is also complemented with a copy of the original patent documents, as well as a letter from Weissman. That's pretty cool. It will be available for auction on Christie's between July 15th and July 25th, and is expected to generate a winning bid between 200 and 300,000 United States of America inflated dollars. Robin, if you had an extra 300K laying around and you were a science nerd, you like biology, chemistry, would you bid on this?
No. Why the hell would you? Like, where are you going to put this NFT?
I like the idea of what they're doing.
The only people that are going to be
thing.
interested in this is that big pharma. They got a lot of money they don't know what to do with. And so why not have a little NFT plaque thing on your corporate office or something that says, hey, guess what we bought? Spent way too much money on
It
it.
looks like a popcorn. Pull up my laptop, Rocco. It looks like popcorn. Anyways, let's move on. Some exciting news. Playboy to build a meta mansion in the metaverse. Playboy's iconic party mansion will soon have a home in the digital realm as the internationally renowned lifestyle brand is teaming with the Sandbox to build their meta mansion. Mini games, social mixers, organized events, and recurring digital collectible releases will all be part of said meta mansion. We will be watching a quick video without sound because it might be copywritten. So let's watch. Robin, let's enjoy.
Oh. What's up, boo thing?
What up, girl? Ooh, I like the yellow ears. Red carpet. Okay. VIP.
VIP. Okay. What's that get me? Ooh.
Disneyland.
It's not Disneyland.
Adult Disneyland.
Definitely not Disneyland.
Ooh. Look at that pose. The voxel pose.
Do you think you'll ever go on a, like a date in the metaverse?
Me personally, no, but people, yes.
Like, you know, just straight up like, or what about like marrying somebody you never meet? You ever thought about that?
That would definitely, I could see that happening.
You know, like you only have met in the metaverse and then you're like, yo, let's get married.
Yeah, I can see it. I think there'll be metaverse courts as well. You can go to court, file for your metaverse marriage certificate. I think it'll be just a whole separate world. What do you think? You agree?
I mean, that's what the metaverse is a whole separate world.
I mean, like, but it'll just be completely separated. It'll be cut off. All right.
And then in true NFT fashion, I decided to pull up a couple projects in here. So Meebits is pumping.
Meebits was it was like the mutant apes for the Bored Apes, but Meebits was that to CryptoPunks.
Yeah. And so these are doing pretty well. A lot of volume, 124,000 volume. If you haven't seen the Meebits,
Look like Legos.
4, 6, or 5 point something, basically 6. So
whole blocks.
I know.
Talking about the Playboy.
Also, I've seen a lot of profile pictures.
Yeah, the Saudis.
The Saudis. This is really trendy right now. There's a couple content.
Will Clemente has a son,
Will Clemente has a Saudi as well. So this seems to be catching some traction as well, and they're priced pretty well. So less than 1 ETH for these.
That was I believe that was a free mint.
So these are. If you look on the ranking system, they're down 83%. So if you're looking for a Saudi, it's probably a good time. They were over 1 ETH before.
I wouldn't touch it. Oh, I heard a lot because it was a free mint. I heard a lot of bots minted. So
either way, just bringing some attention. And then lastly, we have the Monster Cave Elder Torch. So if you want to pay $300 for a torch. This is, your go-to site here. So,
thank you, Robin.
You're welcome.
I think I'm gonna buy myself a torch.
You're buying a torch?
Yeah. I'm gonna burn you with it.
What we should have bought was 3 more viewers, because we got pretty close.
No, we were at 58.
Are there 2 more viewers?
Yeah. We'll get it though. We'll get it. I have faith.
All right. Come check us out in 1 hour and 45 minutes. We'll be on BitBoys Around the Blockchain. Come say hello. Come support ya boy. And, you think I'm going to win this time?
I think so.
You think so?
Well, yeah. I don't know.
I think Ben will probably win this one.
Yeah, Ben always gets the edge. Obviously, it's his channel.
But if there's one person that knows how to talk as much as Ben, definitely myself.
True story.
I got a gift.
And good topics today, too. So make sure you come out and support. Also, someone that you guys are familiar with will also be on the show with Robin. Well, won't ruin the surprise, but come check it out. It's going to be fun. So, anyways, Rocco, roll the outro. You want to add anything else before I sign us off here?
Nope.
Friends, family, new members of the Sin City Crypto Community family, we welcome you. Thank you so much for starting your week off with us. We appreciate you. On behalf of myself, Robin, and Rocco, we love you guys. We'll see you in 1 hour, 45 minutes around the blockchain, BitBoy Crypto. Until then, peace.
Peace.
I got 16 missed calls on my phone. Times change, Mickey D turned into Rabuchon. Kick my feet up. up, drink leader, smoke on a new strong. Couple margaritas, senoritas, I goof off. I got 16 missed calls on my phone. Times change, Mickey D's turn into Rabuchon. Kick my feet up, drink leader, smoke on a new strong. Couple margaritas, senoritas, I goof off. Smoking on the island, say she wanna ride with me. Took her on a flight, said all her bags from Italy. I sent her with a friend, they shopping there religiously. Whoa, whoa, yeah. She say she love me, but that's when she rockin' Prada bag. Said she ready for the next step, whoa, not so fast. Slow down, slow down, slow down, girl, don't you crash. Whoa, whoa, yeah. Cause we can mess up that pretty face, but we can fuck up that pretty lady. Tryna kiss up, I'm in your place. Man, this shit so crazy. Never thought I'd be doing shit like this again. Put that effort in, girl, then I repay you. Crash that thing out the park, now I feel like Babe Ruth, baby. This shit I can't do, baby. No, I can't move, baby. Nothing I can't prove, baby. I got 16 missed calls on my phone. Times change, Mickey D's turn into Rabuchon. Kick my feet up, drink leader, smoke on a new strong. Couple margaritas, senoritas, I goof off. I got 16 missed calls on my phone. Times change, Mickey D's turn into Rabuchon. Kick my feet up, drink leader, smoke on a new strong. Couple margaritas, senoritas, I goof off. Question marks along your brain, wonder if you should try again. Look at me inside your braces. Can't focus when we face to face. Plenty things I could go say. Name a place I go and pay at. Said she want no boo. Been around the world, plenty things I can show you. Taking flights to GA for our soul food. Gotta pay 1K for GA at my shows too. Keep it 1K with my fans even at my lows. Ooh. That's why I'm back. Show your man the things I've showed you. Tell your man how I used to hold you, but I won't hold you. Your new man is lame and all I spoke is true. Life won't smoke for you. That sadness comes with coping too. This madness come with shit that's overdue. You strong by yourself, nobody else holding you, but I ain't holding you. You the one I need when I'm off that perk or two. Hit that thing early, got you sleep like curve for you. All these lame ass bitches I curve for you. All these packs and pearls I burnt with you. It's up now, baby, it's stuck. Nigga look, but they cannot. They gon' hate, so I keep that tucked. What's ice on me like pucks? I work hard, don't need no luck. Only thing I need is my Glock. When there's bread, these birds gon' flock. When they dead, I let them rot. I ain't tryna leave you up, I said stop waiting. And I don't got time for these pussy fuckers playing. You gotta read between the lines that I am saying. Ain't got no time for no more bullshit conversations. Cause I got 16 missed calls on my phone. Times change, Mickey D's turn into Rabuchon. Kick my feet up, drink leader, smoke on a new strong. Couple margaritas, senoritas, I goof off. I got 16 missed calls on my phone. Times change, Mickey D's turn into Rabuchon. Kick my feet up, drink leader, smoke on a new strong. Couple margaritas, senoritas, I goof off. Yeah. Ooh, it's running right on wall. I got 16 missed calls on my phone. Times change, Mickey D's turn into Rabuchon. Kick my feet up, drink leader.